Good morning, dear students. Today we will be studying about the liver. Liver, as you can see, is a wedge-shaped organ which is located in the right hypochondrium. It extends to the epigastrium and to the left hypochondrium. Now, first of all, we would like to discuss about the anatomical position of the liver. How do you hold the liver in anatomical position? For that, you have to first identify the inferior vena cava. This opening you are seeing here on the superior surface of the liver, this is the inferior vena cava. We have to hold the liver in such a way that the inferior vena cava should be vertical. You have to keep the opening vertical and on to the right. The liver has to be on the right side, and this is the anatomical position of the liver. Now, we will see the surfaces and borders of the liver. The liver has 5 surfaces. What you are seeing here is the anterior surface. This is the superior surface of the liver. This is the right lateral surface of the liver. And here on this surface, it is divided into a posterior surface and an inferior surface. This posterior-inferior surface together is also known as the visceral surface. So, we have seen the 5 surfaces. Now we come to the borders. Border is only one. You can see here, this is the sharp inferior border. The sharp inferior border separates the anterior surface from the visceral surface and the right lateral surface from the visceral surface. This is the sharp inferior border. So in this inferior border, you can appreciate 2 notches. This notch you are seeing here, this is called the interlobal notch. Interlobar notch, or the notch for ligamentum teres. This structure you are seeing here, this rounded structure in my hand, this is the ligamentum teres. Here there is another notch for the gallbladder, because of the gallbladder, and this notch is called the cystic notch. So this is about the inferior border. Now we go back to the anterior surface, and here on the anterior surface I would like to show you this ligament. Now you can see here, this is the umbilicus which has been detached from the body, and along this is the anterior abdominal wall. This is the linea alba you are seeing here. If you see on the internal surface, you can see this cord-like structure which is running from the umbilicus to the anterior abdominal wall, and from the anterior abdominal wall it is going to the liver. This is the ligamentum teres. This is the cord-like ligamentum teres. Please remember, ligamentum teres is the remnant of left umbilical vein. Now, where is this ligamentum teres? It is in the free border of a ligament, and this is the falciform ligament. This falciform ligament is formed by the reflection of the peritoneum from the anterior abdominal wall to the anterior and partly the superior surface of the liver. The 2 layers of the falciform ligament, they are deflected, one to the right and one to the left. So one by one we will see the reflection of the peritoneum. Now before that, I would like to tell you that this attachment of the falciform ligament divides the liver into a right and a left anatomical lobe. Now this is the division on the anterior surface, but what about the visceral surface? This division continues along the fissure for ligamentum venosum. This fissure you are seeing here, this is the fissure for ligamentum venosum, continued with the fissure for ligamentum teres. Now ligamentum venosum is another remnant of an embryological structure which is the ductus venosus. So now again we repeat that the liver is divided into a right lobe and a left lobe along the attachment of the falciform ligament on the anterior and the superior surface, and along the fissure for ligamentum venosum and the fissure for ligamentum teres on the visceral surface. So this is the right lobe and this is the left lobe of the liver. Now you can see 2 more lobes on the visceral surface, and they are the caudate lobe and the quadrate lobe. This is the caudate lobe, and this caudate lobe is bounded on the right side by the inferior vena cava. This is the inferior vena cava. On its left side is the fissure for ligamentum venosum. Inferiorly, if you see, there is an area which is called the porta hepatis. You can see this. This is the porta hepatis, and this is the area where structures enter and exit the liver. Here, if you see the quadrate lobe is bounded superiorly by the porta hepatis, inferiorly by the inferior border of the liver. On the left is the fissure for ligamentum teres, and on the right you can see here there is a fossa for the gallbladder. This is the fossa for the gallbladder. So this is about the lobes of the liver. A right lobe, a left lobe is the anatomical division. Along with that you have two more small lobes. One is the caudate lobe and one is the quadrate lobe. Now in continuation with the caudate lobe, you can see here there is a process which connects this caudate lobe to the right lobe of the liver, and this is called the caudate process. This is called the caudate process. So now I am going back to where I started. I come back to the falciform ligament. So now I would like to first explain the reflection of the peritoneum on the right side. So the right layer of the falciform ligament from the anterior surface reflects to the right and covers the anterior surface of the liver. It also covers the superior surface of the liver, and as it reaches the posterior surface, it reflects onto the diaphragm. Here, from the anterior surface, it goes down to the visceral surface on the inferior part of the visceral surface, and near the posterior surface, it again reflects to the diaphragm. So here you can see this is one line of reflection. This is the other line of reflection of the falciform ligament, and this junction which is formed by these two reflections, this is called right triangular ligament, which also reflects to the diaphragm. Coming to the areas which are not covered by peritoneum on the right lobe. The areas which are not covered are: one, you see this is the inferior vena cava. The groove of the inferior vena cava is not covered by peritoneum. Peritoneum passes on the surface of the inferior vena cava. Similarly, the fossa for gallbladder is also devoid of any peritoneal covering, and the peritoneum passes above the gallbladder. So these two areas on the right lobe, including this area between the two reflections which I said, the superior reflection, this one which I said, is called the superior coronary ligament. This inferior reflection is called the inferior coronary ligament, and the junction which reflects to the diaphragm, which is triangular in shape, is called the right triangular ligament. So I suppose this is clear. Coming to the left side now. Again we start from the falciform ligament. So the left layer of the falciform ligament covers the left part of the anterior surface, covers the superior surface, covers the visceral surface completely, and on the superior surface, from the visceral surface and from the anterior surface, these two layers, they again reflect to the diaphragm, forming the left ligament. Now, I told you about two areas which are not covered by peritoneum. One is the groove for the inferior vena cava, and one is the fossa for gallbladder. Now there is another important area which is not covered by peritoneum. I just now showed you between the superior coronary and inferior coronary. This area which you are seeing between my fingers, this is the bare area of the liver. This is also the non-peritoneal area of the liver, not covered by peritoneum. Now one by one we will have a look at the relations of the liver quickly. This middle area of the anterior surface is related above to the xiphoid process, and lower down it is related to the anterior abdominal wall. But on the right and on the left, these two areas are completely covered by the diaphragm. In the upper part, that is to the level of the 8th rib, you will have the lung, the pleura and the diaphragm. Up to the 10th rib, it will be the pleura and the diaphragm, and below it will be the relation of the diaphragm. Coming to the right lateral surface, if you see the right lateral surface, what are the relations? The relations in the upper 1/3 is the lung, the pleura and the diaphragm. That is the right lung, the right pleura and the diaphragm. Middle 1/3 will be only the pleura and its recess along with the diaphragm, and the lower 1/3 will be only the diaphragm. Coming to the visceral surface, first come to the superior surface, Coming to the superior surface, this whole area is covered by the diaphragm, but the middle area has a depression, which is the cardiac depression because of the heart which is related above. But on the two sides, it is raised and related to the right dome of the diaphragm and the left dome of the diaphragm. Now within the inferior vena cava, if you see carefully, you can see two openings, one on the left and one on the right. These are the openings of the hepatic veins into the inferior vena cava. Please see carefully. This is the opening of the left hepatic vein, and this is the opening of the right hepatic vein. Both hepatic veins, they open into the inferior vena cava. Now coming to the relations on the visceral surface, first of all, you have to see the porta hepatis and its relation. The porta hepatis is related to the lesser omentum. The lesser omentum takes attachment along the periphery of the porta hepatis and extends to the fissure for ligamentum venosum. So you can see this is a L-shaped attachment of the lesser omentum. This lesser omentum on the other side is attached to the lesser curvature of the stomach, to the lower part of the esophagus and to the first part of the duodenum. If you see the porta hepatis, you can see some openings here. As I said, porta hepatis is the area where structures enter and exit the liver. Here you can see this is the opening of the portal vein. This is the opening of the hepatic artery. You can see here the small opening with a thick wall. This is the hepatic artery. And here you can see the bile duct. This bile duct is formed by the fusion of the common hepatic duct and the cystic duct. This is the cystic duct which joins the gallbladder to the common hepatic duct. So these three structures are visible to you: the portal vein, the hepatic artery and the bile duct. Other than this, you have lymphatics which are coming out of the liver through the porta hepatis, and you have nerves which are entering into the liver through the porta hepatis. This is the gallbladder. The gallbladder, as I've already told you, is divided into a fundus, a body and a neck. This is the fundus, this is the body, and this is the neck of the gallbladder. Now on the left lobe, on the visceral surface of the left lobe, this is the area which is related to the esophagus. This area which you are seeing getting curved, this is the gastric area. This impression which you are seeing here, this is the tuber omental. This is called the tuber omental. So this is the esophageal area, this is the gastric area related to the stomach. Above the quadrate lobe is the first part of the duodenum and the second part of the duodenum up to here. But if the stomach is empty, the second part of the duodenum may recede to the quadrate lobe. Here is the area which is related to the right colic flexure, that is the flexure between the ascending colon and the transverse colon. Above you can see this depression, and this depression is for the right kidney. Extending to the bare area close to the groove for inferior vena cava, this is the area which is related to the right suprarenal gland. Now coming to the caudate lobe, what is the relation of the caudate lobe? The caudate lobe, it forms the superior boundary of your foramen of Winslow. I suppose I have taught you the liver well and things are clear to you now. Thank you so much and see you in the next class.